Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my performance review of the Nike KD 17. So of course this is Kevin Durant's 17th signature shoe with Nike. He's been with Nike for a long time and he's had some amazing shoes with Nike. So this is the first colorway that came out. It's still available. It retails for 150 bucks. It's down $10 from the Nike KD 16, which of course is much appreciated from Nike. But with the material quality and the overall shoe quality, I definitely feel like it's still not the best, you know, for quality for 150 bucks. But anyways, there also is that blue and white colorway available as well. So if you guys do want to cop it, try to leave an affiliate link in the description box. And if you do choose to get the Nike KD 17, it does help me out if you do buy it from the link or from the product description, like underneath this video, or it'll be right over here. And as always, thank you guys so much for all the support. But let's get it started right off with the Tracciones, right? So in this colorway, we have a fully translucent rubber. Like, it's fully translucent. We have this icy blue kind of like tint to it, right? So how is the traction? The traction is phenomenal, right? If you're playing on a clean court, you're gonna have an amazing bite, and it has a top tier bite. Like, it has a really nice stop. You stop pretty much on a dime, and also you don't really have to break it in. You're pretty much right when you get the shoe, it has an amazing stop, and you don't have to worry about it on a clean court. So pretty much top tier traction on a clean court. However, on dust, how is it on dust? It does pick up a good amount of dust, right? And it picks it up pretty quickly, and it is affected by dust a little bit as well, but it's not affected by dust that much if you keep up with your wipes, so if you keep up with your wipes and you keep wiping, you're gonna be good to go. I didn't really have any issues with dust if I kept up with my wipes, but if I let a little too much dust build up, and it does pick up dust pretty quickly, then I would start sliding around a little bit. So that kind of sucked. And I was playing with other shoes, that have amazing traction, like the 361 degrees Big 3 5.0 Quick and the Quick Pro, testing that. Also with the Series Player Only Ranger 1 that has amazing traction. Those never really picked up any dust. The KD 17, once I switched into these, it was picking up dust, and I did have to wipe a good amount. So just be careful on that. Like I said, again, you're gonna be fine if you do keep up with your wipes. And also it has a nice loud high-pitched squeak. Of course that has nothing to do with performance, but a lot of people like to have a nice loud high-pitched squeak, especially a lot of us hoopers. So that's pretty nice, especially coming from the KD 16, which had very minimal squeak. So there's that. And also, if you are playing on an outdoor court, I feel like it'll be okay, you know what I mean? Like, there's not a whole lot of grooves and there's not a whole lot of surface area. And also, the grooves, they are pretty deep, and the rubber is kind of hard though. So I feel like it wouldn't be terrible on an outdoor court. But I also don't think it'll be the best on outdoor court. So the overall traction was pretty dang good, just a little bit iffy on dust. And now moving on to the heel to toe transition, overall pretty dang smooth, right? So here in the heel we have a little bit of a rounded shape, and also this midsole has a good amount of compression. It's pretty dang soft, so it's very soft if you're striking with your heel, right? Doing heel dominant strides down the court, and then coming here into the forefoot, because of this curved shape, we have a nice heel to toe transition, right? It feels extremely smooth. And also, as far as the forefoot flex goes, there's not a whole lot. Right? There's a little bit. There is a plastic piece here in the forefoot preventing it from flexing that much. But that does add for a little bit more kind of like springiness a little bit. But also, look at it where it bends. Right? There is a plastic midfoot chain plate, of course, but it bends like right around right over here. Right? So torsion support isn't the best. Like, look at that. So if you do need torsional support, of course, it's not the best here in the KD 17, but overall heel to toe transition is very smooth, and it feels a little springy because of the nice tension here in the forefoot. And now moving on to the cushioning setup. The cushioning setup is pretty dang nice, but combining everything, it does feel a little mushy, and I don't feel as responsive with this cushioning setup because of the overall support of the upper, which we'll get into, right? But anyways, it's really soft, it's very comfortable, right? So here in the heel, like I said, we have a good amount of compression, and overall impact protection is absolutely amazing as well. Like, especially if you're doing heel strikes, you're gonna be good to go. Your feet aren't gonna hurt at all. Also, if you're landing hard in the forefoot, it doesn't really hurt that much either, right? And also for underfoot cushion, it's really nice, especially in the heel, because it is using an air Strobel unit in the heel. It starts in the heel and kind of comes into the midfoot a little bit, and then in the forefoot for step and comfort, it's not the best because there is a forefoot zoom unit, right? But we have a plastic piece there, right? It's a pretty prominent plastic piece, right? So if you remove the insole, first of all, the insole's not that nice, right? The insole is pretty thin, and it's just kind of like, it's not great, you know? But then, here's the plastic. It's literally a thin plastic, guys. So yeah, step in comfort, you can't really feel the zoom unit in the forefoot at all. I don't know why they added that. Why would you ever add that? That doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? They said they added that for stability. What? That does, why would, I've never seen that before. You know what I mean? So why would you have a zoom unit or a cushioning setup and then put plastic over it? Like, what? You know what I mean? So yeah, the forefoot zoom unit isn't that nice. The heel air strobe unit is nice. That does feel very plush, very comfortable right underneath your heel. Impact protection, like I said, is great. You have a nice little bounciness as well. Like your heel going into the air strobe unit feels really, really nice. And then kind of that extra compression and a little bit of bounciness from the actual midsole does give you a nice little bounciness from the heel as well. Overall core feel is pretty nice. It's not amazing, but it is pretty good. So overall, I do like the cushioning setup. The forefoot zoom unit is just a little bit disappointing. Like I said, I don't know why they added that plastic piece, you know? So there's the cushioning setup there. Moving on to the upper. So the upper, okay, so I really don't like this upper for basketball, right? So for performance, they're just using this mesh material, right? And it's not really backed by anything, you know? There is a very thin layer of fuse. It's like see-through. It doesn't even add, like, look at that. It's still really soft. You know what I mean? So first of all, I don't think durability is going to be that good, you know, because it's just this really soft mesh material. It's also extremely thin. It conforms your foot really well. So like for a casual shoe, if you're just going to wear the KD17 casually, it's really comfortable on foot. You know what I mean? Especially here in the toe box, it feels great. But then for performance, it's just not that supportive. It has a good amount of stretch to it. And also over time, once you break it in, it does stretch out over time. So the fit does get a little bit looser, you know, a little bit roomier, which we'll get into. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of how it feels here in the toe box. You know, it's not terrible for support, but it's definitely not great. And even for me, like I said, I'm a pretty light dude. I don't need that much support, but I definitely noticed it here in the toe box. So that wasn't great. And also here in the midfoot area, we have these really thin plastic pieces. And this design, of course, is inspired by the Air Max Plus. But yeah, it just doesn't add that much support. You know what I mean? Like we'll get into lateral support, lateral containment, but yeah, it's really thin though here in the midfoot area. And then for the tongue, we have like a little bit of padding here on top of the tongue. Feels kind of nice, kind of plush. It's also a half booty construction tongue, giving you a better overall one-to-one fit. And then here in the ankle area, it's like a normal bit of padding, so it feels kind of nice and cozy in the back of the shoe, right? But yeah, also another thing that I don't like about it is that it gets super duper dirty. So don't get a light color, right? With this mesh material, it's just, I don't know if it's coming out on camera, but there's a lot of like black kind of dirt on it, you know what I mean? So it looks really dirty, so be careful with that as well. So yeah, the quality isn't great, support isn't great. It's comfortable and it's thin, it conforms to my foot, but it's not supportive, which of course for performance you kind of need. So that definitely is a little bit of a disappointment. And the quality isn't the best for the $150 price tag, you know? So there is the material there. Moving on to the fit. So for the fit, I went up half a size like I usually do for all of my Nike shoes because they all been kind of running short. But then in my first impressions, I did say I did go up half a size and I like the fit, right? But playing in these shoes, like I said, this material does kind of get roomier. It stretches out over time and the fit is a good amount roomier here in the toe box, which I don't like. So for me, I wish I went true to size, you know what I mean? Because yeah, it's just roomier here in the toe box. And also there is a little bit of length. So if I went true to size, I definitely feel like I wouldn't have minded it if it was really snug lengthwise, because like I said, the toe box does scrunch up and get roomier. So I don't like that either, right? I really don't like the material choice of this mesh material in the toe box. I definitely feel like they should have reinforced it a lot more. So yeah, for most people, if you want a snug fit, then go true to size. I guess if you're kind of like just like casually walking around in it, you're not really gonna hoop in them, then probably go up half a size if you want. If you want like a roomier, more relaxed fit. But if you're hooping in them and you want a really nice snug fit, then go true to size. It might be a little snug at first, you know, but like I said, this mesh material does stretch out and get roomier here in the toe box, so you should be fine with that. And also width wise, I would say it's slightly narrow like most KDs are. So there is the fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown. So support and lockdown was a little bit of an issue. It wasn't a deal breaker and it wasn't terrible, but it was a little bit of an issue, right? So for lateral containment definitely was not the best, right? So first of all, like I said, with this mesh material, because it's just so soft and not really supportive, my forefoot was moving around inside of the shoe a little bit, especially when I was doing lateral movements, right? And then if I was doing a hard lateral movement, it wasn't coming out of the footbed that much, right? But I could definitely feel my foot stretching the material a little bit and it didn't feel as responsive as I wanted it to, you know what I mean? So yeah, as far as like lateral counters go, we have this plastic cage resembling the Air Max Plus, but it's like I said, it's not that supportive, you know? So you can see how much it kind of bends, you know? So here in the forefoot, it's not that good. Here in the midfoot, I guess the foam does come up, especially with this like plastic, like kind of caging the foam as well. Then here in the heel, we have an internal TPU heel counter, so you're pretty much covered, you're good to go here in the midfoot and heel, but the forefoot, definitely not the best, you know? And it reminded me a little bit of the PG6. You guys remember the PG6? Amazing shoe. Definitely not the most supportive shoe, but it was adequate for me, right? So same thing, the KD7, not the most supportive shoe, especially for lateral containment, but it was adequate. But I would say it's a little bit worse than the PG6, which kind of sucks. You know what I mean? Like this mesh material is just a lot softer than the PG6, kind of like textile material. So yeah, I mean, if you're a lighter dude and you don't really need that much support, you know what I mean? And you like a very soft and comfortable feel, especially for your upper, then you'll be good to go in the KD17, right? But if you want a little bit of support, or maybe you're a heavier guy, this definitely is not the best option, right? Lateral stability, I didn't really have any issues, you know what I mean? We do have a pretty wide base. You're pretty low to the ground here in the forefoot as well, so lateral stability was good for me, right? And also, I didn't really have any issues with heel slippage or anything like that, like I did in like the KD15s. So yeah, overall lockdown was pretty good in the heel, but then like the lockdown here in the forefoot and also the support was not great. So there is that. Moving on to the weight of the shoe. So if I remember correctly, it was kind of light, right? Oh no, 12.7 ounces. Let's check the other shoe. 12.65 ounces. So the average weight of my shoes is around 12.5 ounces. So that's pretty much average weight. And yeah, it feels pretty kind of like minimal, especially for the upper, because there's not a whole lot of foam. It feels actually pretty minimal, right? But then, because of my foot moving around, right, inside of the shoe a little bit, and also the cushion being really soft, especially here in the heel, I just didn't feel as quick as I wanted to, you know what I mean? Obviously, when I'm testing shoes, I switch around, right, just to get a overall feel of everything, you know? And comparing it to like, you know, the Ranger 1, the 361 degrees, Big 3 5.0 Quick, and the Quick Pro, which are a lot more supportive, when I was switching from those shoes to the KD17, I definitely noticed the difference. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, I feel a little sluggish. I feel a little slow in the KD17. However, if I was playing in the KD17 first, right, and I was like kind of used to playing in the KD17, I didn't mind it as much. You know what I mean? So I just keep that in mind. But I feel like for most people, the support is going to be okay. You know, I don't think it's gonna be terrible, but it's just not gonna feel like super quick, you know? But of course, the great traction, especially if you're playing on a clean court, that made me feel really quick, right? So there is the weight there. Moving on to the aesthetics. I really like it. It definitely grew on me. It looks great. I love this colorway. Again, I hate how dirty this upper material gets. So if you can, just you make sure to get like a darker color, you know? But overall, I do like the design. And moving on to the ventilation. Ventilation is pretty good. We have a good amount of airflow because this mesh material, it's not glued down really at all. And there's a good amount of ventilation holes. So it's actually a pretty cool shoe. And so wrapping things up. Yeah, so the KD17, I actually did enjoy playing it. It's a really comfortable kind of shoe, you know? But like I said, I don't feel super quick in it. It's not to the point where I feel extremely slow and sluggish. It's just, you know, comparing it to shoes that I feel really responsive and supportive and quick in, kind of like, you know, the Kai 1, the AR 1, the Big 3 5.0 Quick Pro, even the Ranger 1, which is super heavy and bulky. I felt a little bit quicker in those because it's just more supportive, you know what I mean? So yeah, the KD17 is still definitely a fun shoe. It's a solid shoe. It's just be careful with the support, right? So what would I rank the KD17? I would say it's nice, you know what I mean? I definitely don't think it's a terrible shoe. I don't even think it's bad, you know? Or like okay, I feel like it's pretty good, you know? But how is it comparing to really good top tier performers of the past year, I definitely don't think it stacks up. You know what I mean? Like, for example, you know, the Player 1 Plus, the Zap 1, the Kai 1, the DVD 2, you know, the AR 1, the Jaw 1. Those are a lot more supportive. Also, there was a little bit of an issue with the dust performance as well. And like I said, I just don't feel super quick in that, you know? So there's my performance review of the Nike KD17. Again, if you guys do want to cop a, try to leave in the free link in the description box. Like I said, I don't hate them. I actually do kind of like them. It's just not my favorite, right? But that about wraps it up. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.